Okay, once again, welcome to Module 2, Lesson number 4. Lesson 4, we're going to touch on the topic called Tilakkhana. Okay, Tilakkhana. The translation for this word is the 3 marks of existence. Okay, let's quickly go into the intro part first. The word Tilakkhana consists of 2 Pali words. Ti in English means tree. Lakkhana means mark or characteristic. Okay, the word Ti, if you know some other Pali word, we have Ti Sarana, when we do the 3 refuges, chanting on the 3 refuges, the word Ti is also used there. So referring to the English translation as tree. So there are these 3 marks of existence that we should be familiar with. So as a starting point, the 3 marks of existence is the true nature of the world. So as long as we are born in this world, these 3 things come with the life itself, which we usually refer to as the true nature. And then when we can see the true nature, see this Tilakkhana in its right way, see truly, then we say we have these Yata, Bhuta, Jnana, Dasana, and Pali, seeing things as they truly are. So when we can see these 3 things in its true nature, that also means that we have realized the attainment of this sublime bliss called Nibbana. Right? That is the true nature, but how do we live our life? So we know that life always changes, and then it doesn't happen in our favor most of the time. So when we understand Tilakkhana, then we can actually apply this technique to help us deal with the things that we face on a daily basis. So assuming that you face a situation that is not favorable to your expectation, how do you deal with that? So do you get sorrowful over it, or you can apply or think about it as things are impermanent. Things don't happen in the way it should always. We should want it to happen most of the time. So we think in that way, it can lessen, ease the pain that we are feeling. So from our lesson 1, 2, and 3, we have I have constantly mentioned that our true nature is that we always like to cling to things. When you buy a new car, you said, that is my car, that car is mine. And then you get so attached to the new things that you have. Or you buy a new house and you say, this is my house, and as though that the house and you is one. So when something doesn't go right with the thing that you possess, you feel unpleasant, you feel hurt, especially when the item that you have is new. Just imagine the time, the day that you got a new car, you are so excited, you're so happy when you drove the car home, you park in the car porch. Usually you sleep very late and wake up late. But when you have a new car in your house, you tend to wake up very early because you want to go and see the car, clean the car, charge the car. So you can imagine the level of attachment that we have with things that we newly possess. Even with a small item like a handphone. When you buy a new handphone, you just recall the kind of attachment we have with the phone. We really want to take care of it. But only for that, maybe 1 or 2 months after that, that kind of feeling is no longer there. You normalizes, and then you find this phone is no longer that trendy. I want to buy another phone, So you can imagine, this kind of sensual desire, clinging to things, leads you from one to another. It cannot give you lasting happiness. It gives you happiness for a moment, it's true, but it cannot give you happiness forever. So what we as human beings does is that we go after more, more of those things. Same goes with a car. You buy, when you first bought a small car, even a Myvi, for example, you feel so happy and excited. After 10 years, you find the car is no longer representing my status. I'm working in a large company right now, and then you want a bigger car. So you'll be looking for a bigger car. When you buy a bigger car, after 5 years, I find this car again is not suitable for me. I'm now a more senior executive in the company that I need to buy a bigger car. You can just see how we continue to cling on to things. All right, that is one aspect of it. And the second aspect that we also discussed in our class is about the 5 aggregator, which we have done in lesson number 3. The body, our feeling, our perception, our sankhara, the mental volition, as well as consciousness. We take one or any one of these to be us, that is me, I'm in it, or they belong to mine, and when we have this wrong view, what happened is that, this deluded way of seeing things, giving us a wrong view of things and also wrong view of the 5 aggregate. By having this wrong view give us unpleasantness. That's what we have discussed also in lesson number 3. So because of the nature of this wrong view, we take so much effort keeping unchanging things which are changing to be not changing. So we want things to be the same as long as we can, So the effort that we put in trying to keep things which is changing to be unchanging, we know that effort itself is futile, It's going to be not possible, difficult to do it. So that talks about the mass of suffering that we are facing. So this distortion that we're going to walk through in a short while using some sutta. So this distortion that we have right now in our mind is mainly due to our ignorance, not knowing. So hopefully, as we go through our practices, and if we have a bit of time, or when you have a bit of time, when you do a bit of meditation practices, you begin to recognize, you begin to see the true nature of things. By the practice of meditation, hopefully come a time where we can see the difference between what we believe and the reality that is there. The true nature is something else, but our belief is something else, because these two are not seen to be one. Therefore, there is a tension, what we think and what is the true nature. There is no congruence. So it builds a tension. By the true nature, it says things are impermanent, but we want things to be permanent. So we want things to be permanent. The true nature is impermanent. There is no congruence of this view. So it becomes a stress. It becomes a tension from the true nature versus the wrong view that we have. Okay, so we're going to walk through this Tilakkhana shortly. So before I cover the Tilakkhana, let's look at one useful sutta given by the Buddha. Is in AN 4.49, Vipallasa Sutta. Vipallasa in Pali word also means distortion. That's why it's called distortion. Sometimes some Dharma speakers will use the word Chitta Vipallasa. Chitta means the mind, distortion of the mind. So you can use the word Vipallasa, or you can say Chitta Vipallasa, means the distortion of the mind. So you can see from this sutta, the Buddha has clearly tell us that distortion arises in 4 areas. The mind cheats us in 4 areas. So you look at this. In this sutta, the Buddha says that we sense no change in the changing. That's the first distortion that we have. Our mind is cheated, deluding us that the mind sees things as not changing, but the truth is that everything in the world is changing. Okay, that's the first delusion that we got. And the second thing is that the mind sees things as pleasure when it is suffering. We see suffering as pleasant. That's a second delusion that we are distorted in our mind. And then the third is we see a self when there is really no self. This has been explained quite a lot, in my sharing with you from lesson 1 to lesson 3. We have been talking about this self that we think there is, but the truth is there is no one there. And finally is that we see unleveling is beautiful. Everything very beautiful when there is no beauty at all. All right, so these are the 3 types of distortion that we have in our mind. So when we have this distortion in our mind, the beings misperceive with that distorted mind. So perception, which I was explaining in lesson number 3, the sanya, which stores all the memory through the sixth sense faculty that we have. So when the sense faculty come in contact with the world in terms of seeing, in terms of hearing, all these images that we in contact with the world through the senses are all stored, and all these that are stored are distorted views. So because we have so much distorted view in us, whatever we do, we cannot see the true nature of things. That's what the Buddha highlighted here. And the Buddha says that because we have this distorted view, we are bondage by Mara. Mara means the evil one, the evil side of us is bonding us, is tying us down because of this wrong view. And having this wrong view, we continue to be born on and on and on. So we go on again and again from birth to death. That is the first half of the sutta in Vipallasa, telling us how our mind were distorted. And the second half of the sutta is talking about the regaining of the mind, how we can actually regain the mind by seeing the true nature of things. And this is only possible when there is a Buddha that arises in the world. So we are very fortunate now that the teaching of the Buddha is still around, telling us, to see things in its true nature. Don't see it in a distorted way. So the Buddha is like a light to us, there's a light to us. And then he says that those with wisdom who have heard this, they will then regain their right mind. I've highlighted the word wisdom here because, wisdom is through experience. It's not our intelligence, Intelligence is not wisdom. Wisdom is actually through our experience. And we see things as we experience it, we begin to realize. There must be a level of realization in the experience itself. So we experience it, and the wisdom arises in us. So you can see the 4 things that which was deluded by the mind now is corrected. So what we see now is that we see change in what is changing. So that is the right way of regaining back the mind. The first part was that we see no changing in the changing, but when we regain our mind, we see changing in what is changing. We see suffering when there is suffering, and we see non-self when there is no self, and then finally we see things as unlovely as such, things as not beautiful as not beautiful, not the other way around. Okay, by gaining that, we will then have the right view. With the right view, that we can overcome the suffering that we have now. So this Vipallasa Sutta is, a sutta that summarizes what the Buddha is trying to tell us, don't be caught in this illusion of the mind. Okay, when our mind gets distorted, we see things in the wrong way, and there are 4 ways our mind are distorted. So just remember the 4 ways. We can regain back the mind. So this sutta is pretty useful for reflection. Okay, so with that, we are now going down to the 3 marks of existence. So this is the nature of existence itself. So we should see this 3 things in all living beings. So we should see impermanence. We do see that. In Pali, it's called anicca. And we also see unsatisfactoriness, that is dukkha. And we also see there is non-self, which is referred to as anatta. So Tilakkhana covers this 3 Pali word anicca, dukkha, anatta. Yeah, again, anicca, dukkha, anatta. So it's under the umbrella called Tilakkhana. Right? So I'll start with the first anicca, impermanent. This is quite straightforward because we do see this in our life on a daily basis. So what the Buddha is trying to tell us is that all conditioned things, yeah, in Pali it's called sankhara. We have used the word sankhara also in other contexts, yeah, referring to the mental volition, the mental part, which also called sankhara. But these are conditioned things, everything that you see in the world, all things that arises due to a condition. They are also put under a big word in Pali called sankhara. So all conditioned things are in a constant state of flux, right? It's changing, but some don't change fast. So we thought, it's not changing at all. So when you see, a new flower bloom, the new flower bloom is actually changing, but we don't see the change at all. Okay. Let's see, there's someone chat came in. Okay, so the question, I saw that posting whether the word anicca, dukkha, anatta, is it important in order? So the answer is, usually we say is anicca, dukkha, anatta, but if you want to put this in other order, no problem at all. Yeah, no problem. Okay, for those who knows the song sang by Victor Wee, the song, Tilakkhana song, he started off with dukkha first, isn't it? Dukkha, anicca, anatta. You see, he used the word dukkha first, it doesn't matter. So as long as the three words are there, we say it is in the family of Tilakkhana. But in most textbooks, we all start with anicca, dukkha, anatta. But order is not paramount, it's not very important. Okay, so as I explained just now, all things that arise due to condition, it is always in a constant state of flux. It's always changing, but something doesn't change fast, so therefore we can't see the change on a daily basis, or even minutes, or even seconds. But some are changing fast, so we can see things are changing. Yeah, for example, us also, the moment we are born, we are actually growing, and then we are decaying. But because our lifespan is, about 80 years long, we can't see the change that, that fast. So it's a gradual change. So most of us think that we are not changing, but in true sense, we are changing. Okay, so the change is always put under law, the law of Dharma, which we will cover in our last lesson, lesson number, that is lesson number 5. We're going to look at a couple of niyamas, like 5 niyamas. So this is under the law of Dharma, called Dharma Niyama. Okay, then the next is we are going to look at the anicca in us itself. So as a human being, we have this flux of aging process, gradually growing, and then aging, and then death comes in. Okay, so nothing lasts and everything decays. So this flux is beyond our control, as we are unable to keep our satisfaction. So when you try to keep things which are changing as permanent, and that's where we experience dukkha. Okay, so aging is a natural process, yeah. So we can't control, even though we want to look young, but we know we are aging. So if for those who have taken aging as a natural process, you don't see aging as a pain. Yeah, you take aging as something that you welcome, that's less painful. But those who want to be youthful forever, that's where they tend to have a little bit more unsatisfactoriness. They do all kind of things, spending more money trying to keep their youthfulness. Yeah, so we know that by doing that, aging process will always be there. right? Then the second word is dukkha. So there is no one good English word that actually completely gave the meaning of dukkha. If we go back to our lesson number 1, the definition given by the Buddha, dukkha, satya, the truth of dukkha, you can see the Buddha defined dukkha in 9 different ways. Birth is dukkha, aging is dukkha, ill is dukkha, death is dukkha, separation from your loved one is dukkha, not getting what you wanted. So there are a lot of definition down there. So you can see when the Buddha talk about dukkha, is a very large set, not narrowed down to a small component itself. So a common translation that you see in text in reference to dukkha, it's unsatisfactoriness, suffering, pain, or sorrow. Now, for those who are going for exam, if you don't want to use the English word to represent the word dukkha, you can use the word dukkha in your answer, yeah? So you can use the Pali word dukkha in your answer. That will give it a complete meaning. If you're worried that your sentence doesn't give the actual meaning of what you want to write, you can use the word dukkha in your sentence. Okay, so from what we see, we know that dukkha can take 2 forms: physical unsatisfactoriness, as well as mental suffering. Yeah, so we can see this in rebirth, aging, illness, dying. When we lose things that we love, or we get things that we do not like. So we do have dukkha experiences already. And there is a sutta in the Buddha that talks about, dukkha can be seen as 2 arrows shot at us. The first arrow shot at us is called the physical dukkha. That is one type of pain. But if we don't stop there, and our mind also get painful because of the physical dukkha, we have the second arrow shot to us. Yeah, so sometimes it's just good just to have 1 arrow shot, just have the physical pain and don't let the mind become painful. That is the whole encouragement given in our practice itself. Yeah, just have 1 arrow. Just take the 1 arrow. Don't take 2 arrows shot at us. So if you're not very careful, so we will have both the pain, the physical pain and the mental pain hitting us when there is dissatisfaction. There's a dukkha in us. We might have both arrows shot to us already. Okay, so the other way of looking at this translation is that in terms of feeling, the word dukkha can be broken into 2 words. Du means difficult, kha means to endure. So difficult to endure. That's something that difficult to endure is called dukkha, right? So when a being is unable to keep what they like or dislike according with their control, some level of control can be there, but we cannot control all of it. Like, for example, if we fall sick, if we take medication, it can overcome that illness, all the best. But if we take medication, it cannot overcome the illness, then by practice, we say we should just take it as it is, rather than we remorse over it, because the illness is something cannot be controlled. Yeah, it can be controlled good, it cannot be controlled fine. That it should be the attitude. All right. So this is just for theoretical discussion. You don't find this in the suttas, but academic people who look at the suttas, they have basically classified them into 3 categories. Yeah, dukkha, suffering of suffering. So this is usually the physical, mental suffering that we all experience can be put under the dukkha category. Like, the birth of a being or the aging of a being, when a being fall ill or a being dying, distress from what is undesirable. This kind of feeling can be put under called a dukkha category. Or you can also put the state of unsatisfactoriness in terms of suffering of change. So when you suffer because there's a change, that kind of dukkha is usually referred as viparinama dukkha. But it's just a classification, as I said, it's just a classification. Suffering is just suffering, but people tend to classify them into different categories, right? So this is one way of classifying it. And then a third one is called Sankhara Dukkha. As I say, Sankhara means all conditional things. So the birth itself, bring all kind of suffering to us. So it's all pervasive suffering. So this is a very big set. So anything that cannot fit into dukkha dukkha or viparinama dukkha can all fall under Sankhara Dukkha. So this is the large set where the other two sets sits in. So on this level, the term indicates, lack of satisfaction, a sense that things never measure up to our expectation or standard. So it's everything about the life itself. Yeah, the coming of a being itself comes with all kinds of unpleasantness. So that large set of unpleasantness is put under Sankhara Dukkha. Okay. So lastly, we have a quick look at the word anatta. It simply means there is non-self, or there is no such thing that is permanent soul, which I've already explained in my second and third lesson. So there's no fixed entity there. Yeah, everything is changing. Yeah, anatta means there is no something in the being that we can call permanent, mind, a soul, that moves from life to life. There's no such thing in the concept of Buddhism. So nothing can be called core entity which does not change in them. So everything is changing. Okay, so as the moment we take the stand that there is something permanent, so that wrong view will hinder us from seeing things as they truly are. Now, in fact, currently we are already in that wrong view, because we all take one of the five khandhas as to be ourselves right now. So we are stuck there a little bit, but quite all right. Now we know that the five khandhas is the one that we hold on, that causes us to suffer. So we can then take a different view, the view which is right. So when the beings are capable to see the world as a three mark of existence, we see everything that happens in the world in this three manner, then we say we are endowed with wisdom. So the level of understanding on these three marks of existence differs from an individual to another individual. Some of them see things in that way quite naturally, so they can be quite advanced in their understanding. For those who take things as this is still mine, and I am so attached to this. When we have that kind of feeling, definitely the understanding of this three mark of existence is still not rooted in us yet. So the process is to remember this as far as we can. Whatever we see, whatever we touch, whatever we taste, whatever we smell, we try to throw in the three marks of existence, so that we don't solidify the sanya. We don't allow the sanya to judge or take on a view which is wrong. And as I explained in lesson number 3, the moment the sanya is hardwired, which is a wrong view, it's quite difficult for us to unwire it. We have to really spend a lot of time to unlearn and relearn again. Yeah. So we can do the unlearning and relearning in a gradual sense, so hopefully that will give us insight, wisdom, and that becomes the path to purity. Okay, so we have covered the three Tilakkhana, anicca, dukkha, anatta in a very quick and simple sense. Let's look at a little bit on anatta based on Visuddhi Magga. Now, I want to bring your attention to this particular small segment is because there is a popular question in the exam paper, objective. There's objective question which you have to get used to this sentence, which I'm going to show that. How do we take one arrow and not second mentally? The layperson is not easy to do. Yeah. Okay, so I gave you the simile earlier in terms of the Buddha giving the simile of two arrows shot to a particular person. So the first arrow is the physical suffering, and the second arrow is the mental suffering. As a lay person, now before we do not know, when you are not aware, the two arrow hit us also. We are still not aware, but now hearing what the Buddha has told us that the first arrow that hit us is the physical suffering. You fell, for example, and you hurt your leg, and the leg that is hurt gives us the pain on the leg. That is the first arrow called physical suffering. But if you also add on, your mental statements to say, oh, this hurt I have right now, is going to give me amputation. It might lead me to my leg to be amputated, for example. That is the second type of arrow called the mental suffering that we add on to the physical suffering. Actually, the mental suffering don't exist. It's created by the mind for overthinking, for example. When you overthink on something, the mental pain also arises because of the physical pain. Take another example, so assuming that you in the morning when you wake up, you got diarrhea. Okay, that is the physical discomfort. You had a diarrhea, that's a physical discomfort. But then your mind start thinking, whether I have incurable disease with me or not, So the mental arrow, that's called the mental arrow. Thinking over suffering, which is physical, but you add on the mental suffering, which may not be real. So I hope I answered that. So it may not be real. So taking note of that. So don't let make sure your mind don't overrun. When your mind overthink on something that has happened, that may not be true in its right way. So when it's not true, we are already suffering. You're already suffering using a mental dukkha. Okay, now come back again to this Visuddhimagga thing. So this is a popular question asked in the exam paper, objective question. It seems like it's asked every year, so I just want to highlight this so that when you see this question asked, you should know which answer to take. So this is anatta, described in Visuddhimagga. So anatta is the word, not anicca, not dukkha. This is anatta, non-self. So this is the usual word that you see in the exam paper. So this is taken from Visuddhimagga, and this is written in an old-fashioned English. All right. So you look at the sentence, there are some words here. So misery only thou exists, non-miserable. No doer is there, not save the deed is found. Nibbana is but not the man who seek it. The path exists but not the traveler on it. So this is the full 4 lines given in Visuddhimagga, but in the exam paper, they don't give you this 4-liner, they only take the first 2 lines. The last 2 sentences can give you a clue about anatta, there is no self, which the last sentence says, the path exists, but not the traveler on it. So it's already giving a clue that there is no one walking on the path. There is a path, but there is no one. There's no one walking on the path. So it can give you a clue that this is anatta. So this is how the past year paper looked like, taken from this short extract. So this is the exact question for the past year paper taken. What does the following verse refer to? You can see the sentence, it takes 2 lines from this 4 sentence from Visuddhimagga and ask you what does the following verse refer to? A, anicca, B, dukkha, C, anatta, and then D, sakkaya ditthi. So from what I've just described, the answer should be C. So remember, the answer is C, is anatta. This sentence refers to anatta. All right. Okay, the next slide is taken from Dhammapada 277, 278, and 279. Yeah, also talking about Tilakkhana. So you can see this is the Pali word, Sabbe Sankhara Anaccati. Anicchati. So Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati, and followed by the rest of the Pali sentence. I just want you to pay attention to that English word, the bold word. All conditioned phenomena are impermanent. So Sabbe is all in Pali. Sankhara is conditional phenomena. So Anicca is impermanent. So all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. When one sees this with insight wisdom, one becomes wary of dukkha. This is the path to purity. Okay, so this is taken from Dhammapada 277. Sentence says, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. Okay, which is the Pali word, Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati. And then I'm going to take also to show you Dhammapada 278 and 279. So look at the sentence again. The opening sentence in 278 is Sabbe Sankhara Dukkati. The earlier one is Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati. Anicca. Yeah, this is dukkha. And then the last one, which you see later on, is a bit different. So look at the English translation for Dhammapada 278. All conditioned phenomena are dukkha. So again, you match the word. Sabbe is all. Sankhara is the conditional phenomena. Dukkha is dukkha. So all conditioned phenomena are dukkha. And then I just want you to pay attention also to Dhammapada 279. And you can see this sentence a little bit changed now. It's Sabbe Dhamma Anattati. So the question arises, why Dhammapada 279 don't use the word Sabbe Sankhara Anattati? Okay, 278, 277 and 278 both use the word Sankhara. But the 279 use the word Dhamma Anattati. So that is the thing I'm trying to explain right now. Why the three sentences in the Dhammapada uses Sankhara and Dhamma. Okay, so all Dhamma are non-self. You can see in this sentence is that Sabbe is all. Dhamma means all things, anything that happens in the world. Non-self. Why 279 uses the word Dhamma and not Sankhara? So the explanation is given in the next slide. So the Sankhara and Dhamma are used to denote two different meanings. Okay, the first two verses contain the word Sankhara, which means all conditioned things. In fact, all conditioned things has the three marks of existence, right? Impermanent, dukkha, and non-self. By right, you should have this three. The reason why the third verse doesn't use the word Sankhara is because we have mentioned that the soul theory in Buddhism doesn't exist. So Dhamma are without soul. So it's trying to say that even the Dhamma is also without soul. So in the teaching of the Buddha, there are words called Sankhata and Asankhata. Yeah, these are new words that you might just come across. So when we say Sankhata in Pali means it's all conditioned things. So all conditioned things has these three marks: Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So to ensure that the Nibbana, which is unconditioned, is also without a soul. That's the reason why the last sentence, when it comes to Anatta, they have used the word Dhamma. Dhamma encompasses the conditioned and unconditioned phenomena. So Dhamma is a larger set. Sankhara is conditioned. Dhamma covers conditioned and unconditioned things as well. So that will ensure that the soul theory in Buddhism is given emphasis in these 3 lines. The word Dharma covers conditioned and unconditioned. That's why we say all Dharma, including Nibbana, are without self. Okay, so I've covered the essential part on the Tilakkhana. Okay, so before I go on to Latthana Sutta, I just want to take a break and just make sure that we are all right. Okay, we are back again to the class. The Tilakkhana, the word has been used quite frequently in our lesson 1, 2, and 3. So now we are just covering as a standalone topic in lesson number 4. And as I explained, the Tilakkhana is a solution for us. The Buddha come up with this standalone topic is to give us an antidote, to loosen things that we tend to hold. Yeah, when we hold on to things, and also, when we see things in these 3 marks of existence, it is an easier way for us to accept things that's happening, in our daily life. So before I go on to the Anattalakkana Sutta, which is a very important sutta too, is there any question from the earlier slides? Alvin, you got any question?
Hello, Silly.
Yeah.
I don't have any question, but can I give an example so you may think I actually understand it or not?
Okay, can, yeah.
Yeah. So actually we are talking. There's no Elwin. There's no Elwin. So if I dismantle my eye, I dismantle my ear, I dismantle my nose, I dismantle my mouth, I dismantle the body. There's nothing. There's non-self. There's nothing, because we got all this kind of thing is combined. Then we call human.
Yes.
Yeah, and for the impermanent is because when we are birth, we are sentenced to death. So birth is the suffering already. So we want to see it. We don't cling on. We want to getting youth, like put up on makeups, things like that, to make the face to looks good, everything, because every day we change. We just didn't really realize it, because we try to maintain it, but actually we every day changes, like hair grow longer, nail grow longer every day, but we just didn't really, we take advantage of it. We didn't really realize it. So that's the thing. The impermanent stuff also, we see, like after 20 years the body also will get old, sick. Sick is like example, I'm wearing glasses because I cannot see clearly, but because that's a sick, right? Because I got short-sighted, but because today technology is quite good, so we are blessed that after we wearing glasses, we can see it clearly, but it's still impermanent. But because eventually, when you are growing older, you have a different kind of sickness, things like that. Then you have old age. Then eventually you still need to overcome death. So that's the what we call impermanent. Yeah, that's the that's my understanding. So there's no, even if today talks is because we got this Zoom thing, but after 100 years, 20 and 30 300 years, this Zoom no longer will be used to other people, because there may be some AI new technology or something like that, or the people all here around here, they're listening or they are recording. Someday they are passed away already. No one will continue to host this thing, then there's impermanent. Everything is impermanent. Everything, yeah. Dukkha, anatta, anicca. That's it lah. That's my understanding.
Very good, Alvin. Very good, very good. Yeah, that is the when the Buddha gave all these discourses, he's giving it to to people who wants to to find a direct way to end to end rebirth lah. So the Buddha has given us the highway to end rebirth, but it doesn't mean that we are all on the highway right now lah. Yeah, we are all not on the highway lah. So we are caught in traffic jams and all that. So we just got to be patient a bit lah. But it's good that you take yourself as Alvin doesn't exist. That is the reality. Alvin doesn't exist is reality. But because we are subjected to worldly conditioning, somehow people still see that Alvin exists, isn't it? Alvin, right now, people still see that you are there. And then you also take yourself in some sense that you are also there. So while we say that the ultimate truth is that we are not there, because our mind are still deluded, the mind still takes some that we are still present here. So that truth cannot be ignored. The mind has been deluded. That one is also the current, our current position right now. Our current position is our mind are still deluded. But then we also have the truth, the reality, reality. So one of the ways the Buddha is trying to tell us is that use the three marks of existence as a way to soften our life while we are in delusion. While we are in delusion, the Buddha says that use these three marks of existence as a way to soften the impact of our life. Yeah. Okay, so we got to use these three marks, so reminding ourselves that things are impermanent. Maybe hold on to things which are impermanent as permanent, then suffering arises. And then also the self part, that we don't exist, but we believe that we are here existing, and we try to protect this self by doing all kind of things to fulfill the self. Self in normal language is ego, to fulfill the egoistic nature of us. We do all kind of things, to keep the ego happy. So the more we do, the more, pain it becomes. So the whole concept is to use these three mark of existence to ensure that we don't, we are on the right track. Yeah, we are on the right track. Okay, the question about Nibbana is unconditioned. Is correct. It's not conditioned. It's outside the samsara cycle. Anything that is in the samsara cycle is conditioned. So Nibbana is outside the samsara cycle, so it becomes unconditioned. It's not subject to condition. Okay, if there is no other question, I'll just move on to the next slide. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the another sutta called Tilakkhana Sutta. So this is the second sutta given by the Buddha after the first sutta called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So you can see in this Tilakkhana Sutta, the Buddha uses the five aggregate as a way to analyze, whether it's worth holding on to these five aggregates. So at the end of this discourse, the five ascetic that was with the Buddha at the time all become enlightened. Yeah. So when Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta was delivered, only one of the five monks attained first sainthood, which is referred as Sotapanna. Only one out of the five attained Sotapanna. So the Buddha encouraged and gave more Dhamma talks to them. So when the Buddha touches on the Tilakkhana Sutta, the second discourse, all the five attain arahantship. They all become fully enlightened. So let's look at how the Buddha present this Tilakkhana Sutta to the five monks. So he said, Bhikkhu, he started by saying that the form, the body is non-self. Why the Buddha says the body is not self? So he said that if it's a self, if it's you can compel the body, or you can control the body to be like this and to be like that. But because we cannot compel the body to be like this and like that, we cannot compel it. Therefore, the body is not mine. I think he started with a very good way of letting the monks see, they have this body, and he says that the body is not ourself. Why? If the body is you should be able to compel the form, or control the form, or tell the form what to do. May my form be this, may it not be that. Yeah, but because form is non-self, it leads to affliction. It gives you pain because you cannot control it and you can't compel. So may my form be this, may my form be that. So because you can't, therefore it's confirmed that the body is not you. That's how the Buddha presented the first message to the monks. And then he went on to talk about the feeling in the same sentence. The feeling is also non-self. If the feeling is you should also can compel the feeling to be like this and the feeling to be like that. And he says that because you cannot compel a feeling to be like this and like that, therefore the feeling is also not yourself. And it goes on to perception, it goes to mental formation, and then finally it goes to consciousness. You can see the Buddha walked through the 5 aggregate with the monks and presented it in this way to show to the monk that the 5 aggregate is actually not ourself. Why? Because you cannot compel the 5 aggregate to do things the way you want. If it's yourself, you can compel it to do it. Since we cannot compel it to do it, to obey us, therefore, this is definitely not us. Okay? So you say, this is my money. You can decide how to use the money, isn't it? Because that money is yours. So you can say, I can use this money this way or the other way. But then you are in control. But the form, the feeling, the perception, the mental formation and consciousness, we can't compel it to obey us. So because it can't obey, you cannot get them to obey us. Therefore, this 5 aggregate is not ourselves. Okay, then you can see the second way the Buddha do is that now you talk about permanence or impermanent. The first way is to talk about non-self. Now you can see the Buddha now move down to, what do you think, Bhikkhu? Is form permanent or impermanent? Permanent means it's the same throughout your life. Or is it impermanent? It's changing throughout your life. So the monk replied, impermanent, Venerable Sir. So when things are impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Does thing that is changing give you suffering or happiness? So he said, it gives us suffering. So then he says that what is impermanent and suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded, this is mine, I am this is myself. You can see the way the Buddha presents the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. It's a very systematic way of walking through the 5 aggregate, using the Tilakkhana and showing to the 5 monks that it's not worth, it's not worth to call this is mine, I am this, or this is myself. He says, no, Venerable Sir. And then he goes through again for the feeling. Is it permanent or impermanent? Is the feeling the same throughout, or the feeling changes throughout? And same goes perception, volition, and consciousness. So all the answer came out as no. So the Buddha then says, if all these are impermanent and suffering and subject to change, it's not worth to call mine, and I'm this, and this is myself. So you should truly see any kind of form. So the Buddha now tells the monks that they should see the form, the past, future, and the present. Means when you are young, the future means coming and present means now, or even your past life. yeah, or your future life, or even your present. Internal means yourself. External means others. You look inside yourself and you look at others, or you can look at visible or fine, not visible. Horse means visible or not visible. Inferior means slaves, or the superior, the kings, or the noble people. Far means not seen, near means you can see. All these forms, whether in any of this way, if you have right understanding, this is not mine, I am not this is not myself, then it will give us pleasantness. So same goes with all that. Okay? And it says that when you see this, the learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with form feeling. Means they slowly get detached from form, the feeling, perception, and mental formation and the consciousness. So when they disconnect and then desire, the lust or the wanting to hold on to it also fades away. So when this desire fades away, they are free. When they are free, they know they are free. Yeah, so that's how the Buddha presented this sutta to the 5 monks. And then it says that because they know they are free, that the rebirth is now ended and their work is completed. Their work is already completed. Okay, so in a conclusion, in Buddhism, the Tilakkhana basically tells us that it's due to our ignorance that we are being deluded to believe the opposite of the 3 marks of existence, and that's why we are stuck in this cycle of suffering. And then, so the only way to break that is that we got to educate the ignorance. We got to, give it wisdom, give wisdom to the mind by looking at things in its 3 forms, the 3 marks of existence. So when we can see things in its 3 natural form, then suffering will come to an end. So dukkha nirodha or nirodha satya will be understood in the 3rd of the 4 noble truths. Okay, so all beings conditioned by causes sankhara, they are definitely impermanent, and they're suffering, and they're non-self. So that means there is no I, no me, and then even the conditioned and unconditioned nibbana, also there is no I, no me there. That is the conclusion from the discourse given by the Buddha. Okay, so I've covered that. I'm now going into a very short sutta called Loka Vipatti Sutta. This sutta is basically taught here to answer your objective question also, just to answer that, because it's very popular in the exam question. A small snippet of this Loka Vipatti Sutta is taken and answered in an objective way. So we all know that, as long as you're born in this world, there are 8 winds, 8 kind of wind that blows and make us spin around the world. Okay, so what are the 8 things that make us spin around the world? So it says, we experience gain, we experience loss. So there's one pair of it. We sometimes gain, sometimes we lose. Sometimes we have fame, sometimes have defame. Sometimes people praise us, sometimes people blame us. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, pain, or dukkha. So these are the 8 kind of worldly conditions that impact us in our life on a daily basis, So when we have gain, we have no loss. When we have loss, we have no gain. So all these we do see in our daily life itself. So what the Buddha want to highlight in this Loka Vipatti Sutta is that uninstructed run-of-the-mill people, means these are, in other words, it's called fools, people who are not wise. Okay, they experience all these 8 winds. And also there are people who are wise also experience these 8 winds. Both group of people also experience it. There is a difference in the way they take these 8 things. So let's look at how the unwise one takes it, and then how the wise takes it. Very straightforward. So he says that when the unwise people get a gain or loss, so what is their reaction? So they don't reflect. Yeah, they don't reflect. The only difference is that they don't reflect. When they gain, they're happy. When they're lost, they're sad. They don't reflect. The gain or loss has arisen in me. And this gain or loss is impermanent, stressful means dukkha, and subject to change means it will not stay with me for long. Yeah. So the gain or loss is impermanent, stressful, and subject to change. He does not discern it as it actually is. So they cannot see. The difference is the one who is not wise, he can't see this. He's not reflecting on this Tilakkhana thing. Okay? And then his mind will consume with this gain or loss. So he welcome gain, he's very happy, and he rebel those when he lost. So when he has happy, he laughs. When he's gain, he's sad. So with that thing, he's stuck in this samsaric circle. So he's stuck here, and he is not released. I tell you, from suffering and stress. So this is the first type of person, the unwise one, when they're subjected to the 8 winds on a daily basis. So this sentence is repeated for also fame and defame, praise and blame, happiness and pain. Okay? Then the Buddha says that one who is well instructed, the wise person, when he is subjected to these 8 winds, the only difference is that they reflect. So every time when they reflect, they get a gain or loss. He says that this thing that I'm gained or I'm lost is impermanent, is stressful, and subject to change. Okay, so when you think like that, he discerns it as it's actually it. So you see it as the reality. This gain that I get is also impermanent. This loss I get also impermanent. Gain also gave me stress. No gain also gave me stress. Yeah, and then all these are subject. So when you see in that way, he will be free. His mind does not remain consumed with the gain or loss. And then he does not welcome gain. He doesn't rebel losses. So he thus abandon welcoming and rebelling. So he doesn't get emotionally attached with gain or loss. So when he does that, then he is released, I tell you, from suffering and stress. Okay, so that's how the Buddha presented this sutta to show us that, when we go through our daily activities in life, we are always subject to these 8 winds. Okay, you have to remember the 8 winds because the objective question always asks about the 8 winds. But the sutta has a little bit more, differentiating between one who is wise and one who is not wise. The wise one always reflects. The unwise one doesn't reflect. Okay, so that is the gist of this Loka Vipatti Sutta. Right, so this is again repeated with fame, defame, praise, blame, happiness, and pain. So for the purpose of the objective question for this topic, you have to know the names of the 8 worldly conditions. Repeat again: is gain, loss, fame, defame, praise and blame, happiness and pain. So these are the 8 things that you have to remember from this short sutta given by the Buddha. All right, so if you look at the sample pasa question, it's not so popular. It's asked in 2015, 2016, 2019, and is not asked in all the subsequent years. So maybe 2023, this question may appear. So even if it appears, you can see the style of the question is quite straightforward. What are the 3? What are Tilakkhana? Which is anicca, dukkha, aditya, anatta, which you can decide. You just have to take the notes that I've given you. You write short understanding of these 3 words, anicca, dukkha, anatta. That covers the first part. And the second part is more of your experience. Explain clearly how, by practicing the Dharma, he will make us understand these 3 marks of life. Okay, so you can see the 2 questions are quite close in the style. So the second part of the subjective question is that you have to explain using some of the notes I've given you, that how the mind get deluded, we tend to hold on. So the Tilakkhana is a way to balance off, balance off so that we do not hold on to things that we face with that much of pain. It eases a bit. You can also use the Loka Vipatti Sutta to come in at your second part. I give example of when you gain or when you lose, you can use the Tilakkhana way of reflecting on it. I give an example, and I think all of us have some example of how you can use Tilakkhana to overcome the feeling of unsatisfactoriness. So you can use your real example and then write very short notes to explain this topic. Okay, so that covers lesson number 4. Okay, before we open to discuss the question that was raised, by one of our sisters earlier, before we do that, is there any question from the notes first? Any questions? Okay, if there's no question, we will do a general discussion on the, how did we put all this Dharma knowledge that we have right now into our daily practice? Yeah, so sometimes it's a bit challenging that, you suddenly realize things that you do or things that you walk through every day, don't seems to be compliance with the, not in some ways complying to the Dharma that the Buddha was giving. So you get a bit off balance a bit. So what I can say is that, the Buddha is giving us a path, a highway to liberation. So whatever that I have talked about from lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4, discourses given by Buddha for one who wants to have a direct path for liberation. And we know that all of us who have a lay life, we are caught, in between this, what we heard and what we intend to do or what we are practicing every day. So see this like, you are caught in a highway. So I was just discussing earlier with another sister that, we are caught in a highway. So when you're caught in a highway, you have turned on the radio. Okay, you have turned on the radio and the radio says that, after this, there is a junction that you can take, which will help you to bypass the traffic that you are in. So you are in that kind of situation. So while you are in the traffic, be patient. Yeah, be patient. And just go through the life that you have right now. I think over our life itself, we have accumulated a lot of things. We got to work to do. We got a job, and then we are responsible for a job. Then we start a family. Then we got a family to be responsible. We have a father, mother who are ill or getting old. We have to take care of them. So all these are part of the responsibility of a lay person. So those responsibilities that we have, we must continue to carry it out. Okay, we have to carry it out. So it's all right to work, to earn money, to bring food to the table, because that is a noble thing to do. I see that way is a noble thing to do. So while we are doing all the thing, we try to be guided by the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. So first of all is that we must have the right view. And then the Buddha says that let's start off with practices the lay people can take, gradual training, the basic things that we can do to prepare ourselves when we have crossed the traffic jam. We are coming down to that the junction, which we can then cut into the highway. Okay, so now we are caught in traffic jam, we're going to cut into the highway. So while we are in this traffic jam, we can do the following things. So walk, try to build ourselves up, leading towards the highway, the highway that we're going to go. So the Buddha says that just practice gradual training, dana, sila, bhavana. Just hold on to this, because dana, sila, bhavana is actually the stepping stone of the Noble Eightfold Path. So try to be generous. Generosity is always very good because it helps you to loosen off the attachment to money or to things, so we learn how to let go, let go those things that we don't need. So it's a form of detaching, it's slowly reducing or eroding away our upadana, the clinging to. So we need the money, we have some excess money, don't hold on to it that this is my money. Try to do dana. Dana means you are happily giving, knowing that this will lead me to the highway. Okay, so do a bit of dana. Even things in your house, there's so many things that accumulated over the years. You'd be surprised, if you go to the closet, you open your cupboard, there are so many things there that you don't even use already, but you are still keeping it in the store. So one of the easiest way to do is that take some of this thing and donate. I give it to those who need the things that you don't need anymore. That's one way of giving. Yeah. Also giving up some of your time. Yeah, like doing social services or helping out in some children home, old folks home. Also, small ways of learning to give up what you think is important. That is the second way. All right. So then third is that you keep your sila, your 5 precepts, try to keep your 5 precepts as pure as it can. Yeah, try to keep your 5 precepts. Try to abstain from killing even small items, and instead of killing them, you save their life. You see any small items, big items, or big insects or whatever that is trapped somewhere, you help them. Try to be, try to be a bit kind to this living being. Now, understanding that all beings are suffering anyway. They are suffering. We are suffering. Let's not add more suffering to their lives. So let's help them. So the understanding of that. So you restrain from taking life. You refrain from taking things that is not yours. By reflecting that, if I take this thing, it is not mine. The party who is owning it will feel unhappiness. So when you have that kind of intention, then kind of thinking that if I take things that is not mine, the other party will be unhappy. If people take my thing, I also become unhappy. Therefore, don't do it. Refrain from taking what is not given to you. The third is sexual misconduct. Is don't have any sexual relation with people who are not who is not your wife. That is no. That again is to overcome sensual desire. And then the verbal side. No doubt. The Buddha only mentioned in the 5 precepts as no lying, abstain from lying. But there are also another 3 more that you can add on into your right practice of speech. Rough words. Try to be kind. Don't use rough words. And then don't say things which is not truthful. Yeah, or you smear the name of someone else, which is not. You say something and you try to spend, and this is very commonly seen in our WhatsApp right now. When somebody WhatsApp to you, the influence that you receive is not real. It's a fake message, but because you don't verify, you forward it. You are also, spreading rumors, So try not to do those kind of things. And then gossiping means wasting time talking about something unrelated to practices. So you try to only spend time on dialogue or talk to people on something that can benefit another person practice. So these are the few things that you can do, and then try to incorporate a little bit on bhavana. Bhavana means mental cultivation. So if you haven't started, you try to build a little bit on your mental cultivation. Start with 1 time a day, 10 minutes. Try to be yourself, sit and meditate or reflect on a Dhamma, or take a book on a Dhamma book and read a Dhamma book for 20 minutes. So these are all the good practices that will build up as we move towards the highway. Okay, so in a summary, that's what I think a layperson can do. Do all the gradual training first. Do the gradual training before touching on the more serious item. Yeah, serious one. But now knowing that these are the message given by the Lord Buddha, that this is nothing but the truth. Hopefully, we are guided by the truth. As we practice, we are guided by the truth. Okay, so that's it for today. It's about 4 o'clock now. So if there's no other question, we will end lesson number 4, and I'll meet you next week. We'll cover the 5 niyamas. Okay, we'll cover 5 niyamas. All right. So thank you very much, everyone.